One of the biggest storylines that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is what does Boise State do without Ashton Jeanty? The superstar is off to the NFL, but I do think that this team will be just fine without him. Now, this is an offense that will look drastically different than it did last year. When you look at Boise State and what it relied on last year, obviously Ashton Jeanty played a huge role in that, over 2,600 yards and 29 touchdowns. The rushing attack, though, is going to still be relied on to win football games. It's just that you have a new offensive coordinator coming in Nate Potter. You also have an offense that is maybe going to look a little bit more balanced. Nobody on this roster has the ceiling that Ashton Jeanty does. Now, you do have some returning talent that is capable of making big plays, but to say that they have another Ashton Jeanty is doing Ashton Jeanty a disservice. He was super talented, a guy that they're probably maybe never going to see again, but this is a team that overall, as a whole at that position, should feel confident in their ability to continue running the football at an effective rate. Now, part of that is going to have to do with play calling, but also part of it is that you're going to have to you really need Maddox Madsen to step up, plain and simple. That's a guy who is going to have to deliver in key situations more often than he did last year. This is a passing attack that should give him plenty of options, though. You don't have Cam Camper, but you do get Latrell Caples back. You do get Chris Marshall back. Now, if Chris Marshall can take a step forward, you're in good hands. You also have tight ends that are going to be extremely effective. Matt Lauder is one of the best tight ends in college football. Matt Wagner is a nice piece as well. But the rushing attack is really where we're going to dive into today. The offense obviously has exactly what it needs to be successful. And we'll talk about the offensive line here in just a little bit, but you return Sire Gaines, assuming that he is healthy. He is someone that has that big time ability. He doesn't quite have the ceiling of Ashton Jeanty, but he is someone, a young player that has put in the work and is ready to showcase his talent at another level. You also brought in Malik Sherrod from Fresno State. Didn't have the most impressive numbers in 2024, but he is someone that has done a lot of good things for that Bulldogs program, and he is a nice, versatile player in your offense. He also gives you kind of that change of pace. That would be a nice complement to Sire Gaines if he's able to go. You also bring back two other guys to not forget about. John Brace Dubar is someone who's been around this program for quite some time. Only had 99 yards last year and 2 touchdowns, but he can be a big time player for this offense if they truly do need him. And then you have Dylan Riley, 22 carries for 135 yards, average 6.1 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. So the depth is definitely there. The depth is really where you're going to feel confident in this offense to be able to continue running the football. And if you're not going to have Ashton Jeanty, you're not going to have a guy on this roster that can replace him, especially not at Boise State. If you were a bigger program, you probably have somebody on your roster, but you don't. Now, Sire Gaines is probably the closest thing you have to a one-to-one replacement. But again, Ashton Jeanty was a unicorn that Boise State's probably never going to see again. You're going to have to rely on this rotation. It's going to be by committee, and it's a good committee. That's one thing that, even though you don't have the talent, this is a by committee approach that should work. The offense, like I said, needs balance, and the rushing attack is going to have to show that it can still be effective. Now, you do have an offensive line that is extremely talented, and if they can stay healthy, it's going to be one of the best offensive lines in college football. Getting back your 2 tackles in Cage Casey and Hall Schmidt are 2 tremendous pieces to have return. You also get guys in Mason Randolph and Roger Carrion that started to combine 9 games last year. So if they can play the entire year, you feel very good about what this offense can do and what this rushing attack can do. Because again, I think Maddox Madsen is a solid quarterback. He does have his limitations. That is for sure. But you're going to have to ask him to do more this year. You will have to ask this passing attack to be better. And so you have pressure on your quarterback. You have pressure on the pass catchers as well. So Latrell Caples was a proven go-to player, and you need him to step up more. You also need someone that's going to take the top off the defense. Chris Marshall has the ability to do that. We just haven't seen it consistently. And this is a guy that was extremely exciting coming out of high school. He just hasn't lived up to those expectations. The offensive line is going to play a huge role in that, and they'll give him plenty of time to throw. They'll give those pass catchers plenty of time to get open, and they'll give the rushing attack plenty of time or plenty of openings to run through. Now, the schedule is not going to give them time to kind of ramp up to the season. It's kind of right off the bat, you're playing USF, and that's a USF team that felt disappointed in their 2024 season. They are looking to bounce back. They got their quarterback back and healthy, and that's a team that's going to be motivated to pull off an upset over a team that made the college football playoff. Now, you do get Eastern Washington, Air Force, and App State before you go to Notre Dame. If you are 4-0 heading into that game, it's because you've figured things out in the rushing attack. And also Maddox Madsen feels comfortable. This is going to be a balanced approach. And if you want to challenge Notre Dame, that is going to play a huge role. Your ability to give them multiple different looks and give them kind of a change of pace, because I think at times people knew, hey, we just have to stop Ashton Jeanty, which didn't really work a lot. But if they did, they found success. With this team, you're going to have to prepare for multiple running backs. You can't just prepare for one guy. And that could give Boise State an advantage that maybe we didn't realize they had, especially last year. They didn't have that just because Ashton Jeanty was so good. They didn't really need that. So the rest of the schedule, though, you're getting a lot of your tougher games at home. So that's going to be great. You're going to be able to have that advantage, and you're going to build your team's confidence early and often, especially if they're probably losing the Notre Dame game, honestly. But this is a team that can still go 11-1. Is certain things that are going to happen for that to work out. Now, the defense does play a role in that as well. You return quite a bit of talent to make that happen. So if this offense needs time to get kind of acclimated with each other, to get familiar with what the game plan is going to be in a weekly basis, the defense should be able to step up and help this team. The defense should have plenty of talent, especially up front, especially at the linebacker position. And if this secondary can continue being opportunistic, then you feel very good about your chances to win football games. This Boise State team, though, is going to miss Ashton Jeanty. I think that's an understatement. Ashton Jeanty was a talent that you may never see again at the Group of 5 level. He was just that good. And even Power 4 teams had trouble stopping him. And even though this team didn't get to where they wanted to go last year, the run that they made, the amount of sweat they put into and fear they put into teams that were better than them was something that you have to tip your cap to. You have to give them credit for. And this year's team, while they do not have an Ashton Jeanty, they do not have a superstar on their team as of right now. This is a team that could still be back to the college football playoff. They could be back to the top of the Mountain West. And Spencer Danielson should feel extremely excited about what his team can do in 2025, even without a superstar on their roster.